True freshman wide receiver Malachi Toney finished the Virginia Tech game with 146 receiving yards. That is the most receiving yards he's ever had in a college football game. We're going to watch what he did against Virginia Tech, and I really like the way Miami got him involved in this offense in this game. Remember against NC State Syracuse, I just kind of wish they found the way to get Malachi Toney the ball. You know, he's so good down the field, stretching the field, but if that's not open, just get him the ball on these swing passes, on these screens. Just get him the ball as a ball carrier, you know, just let him run the ball, and they did that against Virginia Tech, and I think that's a big reason why he had the output that he did. And we'll look at this first play here, this wheel route. I really love lining Malachi Toney up in the backfield. First of all, this dude's a mismatch nightmare for any player in America. You know, this is a very tough dude to guard, even if you're going to be a first rounder. You know, I think one of the reasons, I talked about this in the Keontae Scott video, the reason that these two guys are having such good seasons is because of the battles I'm sure they've had in practice. Keontae Scott, really great D-back for Miami, and Malachi Toney having this season, you know, that's a tough dude to try to get open on, and it's a tough dude to try to guard. And I think that iron sharpens iron thing kind of happened in the offseason. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is when you line him up in the backfield, you're not going to have Keontae Scott on him. You're going to have a linebacker on him. And if he's a tough cover for Keontae Scott, a guy that's as athletic as that, it's going to be a tough cover for a linebacker that's a lot bigger than Malachi Toney, but a lot slower than Malachi Toney. He doesn't have that ability to stay up with this acceleration. And Carson Beck kind of has to break the pocket, move around a little bit, so he doesn't really have a base to deliver an accurate ball downfield. But you can take a look. There's a lot of space here. You know, if the pocket was a bit more clean, this is probably a touchdown. But just how fast that separation happens with Malachi Toney. Really good route on that first one. This next one, we're going to see him as a quarterback. He played quarterback at, not a quarterback, he's going to throw the ball here, but he did play quarterback at American Heritage. Last week against NC State, we saw him throw a bomb this week. We're going to see he can also hit the checkdowns when they're there. Nice little check down. And one of the things that I think Malachi Toney does such a good job is just navigating the open field with the ball in his hands. We're going to see it a little bit when he's in a phone booth, when you kind of have him not dead to rights, but when you're really close to Malachi Toney, he's difficult to bring down. But when he has this much space, he does such a good job of just kind of navigating all this traffic. And this time, Virginia Tech does a good job kind of flowing to him, and they don't let a big gain turn into a touchdown. But, you know, when you get Malachi Toney the ball in space, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a big gain like this. The other time, it's going to be a touchdown. But, yeah, completely runs over this lady. I really hope she's all right. You know, I know she felt that on Sunday, and then Malachi Toney helps her up. You know, there's a reason they call him Baby Jesus. But, you know, just kind of to that point a little more, Malachi Toney also, I really love the way that he interviews after the games. If you ever hear him talk after, you know, a game where he had a really good game, he's always deflecting it to the team about team success. You know, it's just never about just him. So, really, it's really rare, I think, for an 18-year-old receiver to kind of do that, but especially with the season he's having. And then we'll take a look at the full body extension on this. You know, 5'11", people are going to use the frame to knock him, but he plays a lot bigger than 5'11", the way that he can just attack the ball like this. But, I mean, this is just nasty. I don't know if I'm dating myself on this or if, you know, remember Kalen LeBourne at Florida State against Virginia Tech. He had a juke a lot like this. Just look at that first move like that, and then the second one to kind of string them together. This is a good job by Virginia Tech's defensive line flowing. And, you know, ended up knocking him down, or he kind of jukes himself out of his shoes here. But, I mean, this first move is so nasty. And this is that phone booth athleticism we're talking about. We saw him in the open field before, but when you got him in a phone booth like this, he's tough to bring down also, just because he's got that change of direction ability and then that ability to string them together. Really exciting. And then this is another play. We've seen him with the ball in his hands. We've seen him as a route runner. Now we're going to talk about him high pointing the ball and how good he is at the catch point. He plays a lot bigger than 5'11", you know, that's for sure. Not only the way that he gets after his blocker, we talked about that at the beginning of the season, but the way that he can just attack the ball. I mean, the separation on this play also, you know, a lot of times with these 50-50 fade balls from the slot route, a lot of times we talk about the quarterback throwing a good ball and it can only be in one place for a touchdown. On this route, I mean, this ball could have been in a whole lot of places. You can see how much space he has to the sideline here, just because of that separation he created so early. He's just in a good position to make a play on the ball that entire time. And then good job high pointing. We'll get another angle of it here. He's going to do the Cam Ward touchdown, or the Cam Ward celebration on that. That's pretty nice. But, yeah, Malachi Toney's having such a good season. You know, I can come on here every week and I can tell you about how good of a season he's having. And I don't really think I'm ever going to get that point across because he's having a really good season. It's kind of tough. You know, I could be on here for 20 minutes talking about how good of a receiver Malachi Toney is, and then how impressive that is for a true freshman to just kind of step into college football and do what he's doing. But, we did it at the beginning of the season. We haven't really talked about him in a while, and, you just turn on the tape every week. It's really exciting. But he's having a great season. You guys let me know what you think about him. If you want to place the store all your draft evaluations, please check out we-draft.com. Thanks for watching.